that's involved. This allows that phone to read a source, a magnetic source, transfer that information via the cell towers to a bank, transfer from one account to another account, and back again if need be, and have a record of it. That's the important part of this device. For the mark to work, you have to make person-to-person transactions. You can't go to the bank every time you want to sell something at your house, or set up a lemonade stand, or something along that lines. These devices are completely portable and do not need to be phone-based. Thank you. The next generation of devices that come along will probably be like a small calculator, like a solar-powered calculator, that can store all of the information, and you go to the bank and it dumps it down the next time you go to the bank. Or it can be like a cell. In other words, it can operate on the cell towers without actually having cell capabilities. These could actually be issued by the bank as soon as you get a checking account. That would be the next step in the technology, which is already out there, by the way. So much. This company was created by a farmer. He was looking for a way to scan his cattle as they come through. You've all seen the ear tags? Well, they have ear tags that have RFID in them. But he wanted a better way to do it so that he wouldn't have to, because they get ripped off and they get infection. Every time they get infection, you have to have penicillin. That destroys the milk. You cannot, any cow that has an infection, you can't take the milk from. So he wanted to eliminate that aspect of it. So he got together with a guy that was experimenting with a type of ink that can carry an electrical impulse. And they got together and they created this scannable tattoo, which can be invisible or visible, choice of colors even. Why is this important? The mark does not have to have all your information on it. It only needs to have a 10-digit code. The information can be stored off-site, like on the internet. This is unaffected by magnetic fields, which deals with the aspect of it where with the Antichrist tell 100% of the population that you can no longer get an MRI. That's one thing that you have to look at. IBM even has commercials right now on the air of a Mark of the Beast actually working. They don't call it the Mark of the Beast, they call it something else. Innovative technology or something like that is the buzzwords that they use. The guy walks into the store, he's got a big jacket on, he starts putting things in his jacket left and right, looks like he's shoplifting, right? Security guard starts following him around, he walks out the front door, thing scans him, and the security guard stops him and says, "Hey, you forgot your receipt." Because what happened is all the RFID products were on the products. So as he walked out, it scanned all the products that he had on him, automatically deducted that from his account, and printed off a receipt as he walked out. That is what IBM is doing right now. They're building the infrastructure for that to work. They've actually advertised it. I mean, it's not like they're hiding it. It's actually been advertised. They make all of the scanners, the software for the RFID integration, so that the scanner can talk to the bank, can talk to the store, so you can do inventory and your accounts and all of that. Now, this is the biggest piece of the puzzle. The healthcare computerized record system. Back in early 2009, I think it was February of 2009, when they announced the stimulus package. There was something in the stimulus package that the Lord gave me a vision of, actually, that will allow the Mark of the Beast to work as a template for the entire world. Now I'm going to talk about it. This is kind of hard to explain. You maybe ask yourself, what does the healthcare system have to do with the Mark of the Beast? in the stimulus package, they set aside money to update the record system for all of the hospitals in the United States. What they want to do is put everybody's medical records online or on computer. Not necessarily online, but it would be virtually online. It may not be accessed by your home computer, but it would be accessed by all the other computers in the hospitals, which makes it secure. That's another big buzzword, and an important part of it. It has to be secure. But think about what's in your medical records. Your address, your next of kin, your blood type, your DNA even, maybe even fingerprints for the early born now. They have footprints that they take. They have your banking information, your insurance information, your health history, your parents and your family's health history, all your children's names, your parents' names, and most people don't lie when they go to the hospital so they can continue to get services. Even, this is a little known secret, but most illegal aliens don't bother to lie when they go to the hospital because they know they're not going to get caught. So they walk in, they give the correct information, they walk back out because they know they're not going to be caught. This will be the engine that runs the mark of the beast, this computer system. Right now, they actually have a working prototype of this in some hospitals. Right now, that they have RFID the RFID tags on all of the equipment in the hospital, and on all of the badges that the doctors and nurses have, and on all of the tags that the patients have, the wristbands. So you can go to a computer and type in anybody or anything and know exactly where it is in the hospital. If you want to know where this bunch of pills is, you type it in, and it'll a little map will come up, and it'll point to exactly where it is in the hospital. This is kind of like a miniature version of what the mark will be like. The way it scans, retails information, everything like that. It puts them all together. What do you get? If you use the healthcare record system to house your ID and then add in your debit card and credit cards to it, IBM can link everything together so that you can use your soul mark tattoo as a worldwide ID, debit card, medic alert bracelet, credit card, so you can walk into a store, grab a bunch of stuff, and walk out without ever talking to a cash register person. You could be driving down the street or driving down the road, speeding. A cop could pull you over, scan your hand, see if you're wanted or not, deduct the money from the ticket directly from your account, and set it up on a payment plan, and send you on your merry way without ever asking for your wallet. See whether or not you're insured. Everything will be all punched straight in together. We've been of the notion in the past that the mark of the beast would be imposed by some religions, and said it's going to be like a thing, the thumbnail, pushed down on everybody, to impose, to hurt, to control everybody. What if the Antichrist actually sells it and campaigns on it as a way to save everybody? Let me paint a small picture for you. Say there's a disaster, like, let's say New York City gets nuked. I mentioned New York City because there have been several people that have visions and dreams about New York getting destroyed by a disaster. So let's say that there's a large terrorist attack in New York City that causes massive destruction, and then a large blackout that encompasses most of the Northeast. There's already food shortages right now around the world. Have you been watching the news? There's food shortages all over the world. Do you know that I think it was 80% of the world's wheat crop had wheat rot or dry rot, a kind of It's like blight, only it's dry. Gasoline is continuing to rise all the time because there's fewer and fewer. They say by, what is it, 2050, that will be dry of gasoline unless they tap new resources, the ones that we have right now. Can you see how things could accumulate together? Large disasters. Right now, look at the world. Turkey. Not Iraq, but Iraq too. Iraq and Afghanistan. Turmoil. Iran. Turmoil. Sudan. Egypt. Great turmoil right now. All over the world, people are kind of, maybe subconsciously, crying out for a savior. People all over the world are crying out, save us, save us. Look at Greece and Turkey and the whole EU for that matter. The economy is failing all over the world, which is funny because usually when an economy fails one place, it rises someplace else. That's the way it works. It's usually like a balancing act. The economy will rise someplace and then it'll fall someplace else. The economy over the entire planet is falling. Why is that? The stimulus package did a couple of things. It took a bunch of money out of circulation and it put the fear into businesses that taxes would be raised. So businesses pulled back. In other words, they're not advancing in investing because they think they're going to get hit hard with taxes later on. But there's talk about it right now. So what's that do? That sets back the economy. We're seeing a little bump right now. That's just only because America's economy is so large that it's very difficult to bring it down completely because there's just so much consumption in the United States that it has a tendency to bring itself back just by itself. If we think about a disaster in New York, people all over the world crying out for help, the Antichrist comes up and says, hey, I can help you, I can save you. I can save your economy, I can stop crime, I can eliminate terrorism, and I can make things a lot more convenient for everybody. Here's how he could do that. He could sell it. This is how he could sell it. The mark of the beast could be used to eliminate taxes. Well, how do you do that? By having a shared burden. This is something you liberals like to talk about, a shared burden. If you have just 1% tax on every purchase, every time you make a hand purchase, take 1% out of that, that would be more than all the taxes put together that we pay right now. It'd be double what we pay for taxes right now. But yet it would be felt less on the pocketbook. Because of all the fraud, that would be eliminated. There would no longer be any fraud whatsoever because you can't sneak any cash under the table. There'd be no more drug deals because there'll be a record for every transaction. And there's only so many times you can sell the same TV. They're going to get wise to that. I mean, there's no way that you're going to be able to spend however many hundreds and hundreds of dollars it would be for the drugs that you need, because it'd be a record of every single transaction. Which is why that there's so much in cash. They love cash. American cash is bought all over the world just for that purpose, is to use on the black market because it had been so stable in the past and so easy to launder. Here's how this might work, okay? Every person would have a zone where your mark would allow you to go, like a passport, right? When you go to apply for a passport, in this case, you wouldn't actually get a picture ID passport now. They'd just say, okay, you're allowed to go to Israel, or you're allowed to go to France, or you're allowed to go to England, and you're allowed to stay there for so many days. And after that, you can't eat, because it just shuts you off. You're wanted by the law. They turn off your mark. So now you have to turn yourself in or start. You could actually